In the year 1500, there was one Bible-believing church for every unreached people group. After the Protestant Reformation and the Protestant missionary movement began, there were 10 churches for every unreached people group. Halfway through the last century, there were 33 churches for every unreached people group. When the rest of the majority world got involved in the mission sending movement, there were 216 churches for every unreached people group. And today, with the rapid multiplication of the church all over the world, there are over 1,000 congregations in the world of Bible-believing Christians for every unreached people group. We can certainly be confident that God is able to change and transform lives. He is able to see that every people hears and experiences the good news and the saving love of Jesus Christ. So we can be confident because we know the gospel has transforming power. And then last, but perhaps most of all, the Great Commission is great because Jesus is worthy. And this is what it all comes down to. John Stott writes, "Herein lies the supreme missionary motivation. It is neither obedience to the Great Commission, nor compassion for the lost, nor excitement over the gospel, but zeal for the honor of Christ's name. No incentive is stronger than the longing that Christ should be given the honor that is due his name." We all know, every one of us know, all the kids who grew up in Sunday school and left the church, all the agnostics and the atheists, all of the New Agers and the Hindus and the Muslims, all of us know that Jesus was a nice guy, that he was a good man. Everyone knows that. No one denies that this is the case. But there's so much more to Jesus than just being the nice guy, the good man. Dallas Willard writes in his brilliant book, The Divine Conspiracy, this profound passage. I will read it. Can we seriously imagine that Jesus could be Lord if he were not smart? If he were divine, would he be dumb or uninformed? The biblical and continuing vision of Jesus was of one who made all of created reality and kept it working, literally holding it together. Colossians 1:17. Small wonder then that the first Christians believed that he held within himself all of the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Colossians 2:3. It cannot be surprising that the feeding of the thousands led the crowds to try and force him to be king. Surely one who could play on the energy equation matter like that could do anything. Do you think he could get elected prime minister today with such powers? Cancel the national debt, turn gravel into gold. He knew how to transform the tissues of the human body from sickness to health, from death to life. He knew how to suspend gravity, interrupt weather patterns, eliminate unfruitful trees without saw or axe. He needed only a word. Surely he must be amused at what Nobel Prizes are awarded for today. In the ethical domain, he brought an understanding of life that has influenced world thought more than any other. He knew how to enter physical death, actually die, and then live on beyond death. He seized death by the throat and he defeated it. Death was not something that others imposed upon him. He explained to his followers in their moment of crisis that at any time he could call for 72,000 angels to do whatever he wanted. He plainly said, "Nobody takes my life. I give it up by choice. I am in position to lay it down, and I am in position to resume it. My Father and I have this all worked out." Of all these things, they show Jesus' cognitive and practical mastery of every phase of reality, physical, moral, and spiritual. Jesus is Lord can mean little in practice for anyone who has to hesitate before Jesus is smart. He is not just nice, he is brilliant. He is the smartest man who ever lived. He is now supervising the entire course of world history while simultaneously preparing the rest of the universe for our future role in it. He always has the best information on everything, and certainly also on the things that matter most in human life. And so I think in closing of this vision in Revelation chapter 5, where Jesus takes the scroll from the one on the throne, and the living creatures and the elders fall down before him, and they sing this song, "Worthy are you to take the scroll, to open its seals, for you were slain, and by your blood you ransomed people for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. And you have made them a kingdom and priests to our God, and they shall reign in the earth." And when I looked and I heard around the throne the living creatures and the elders, the voice of many angels, numbering myriads of myriads and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and might and honor and glory and blessing." Is he worthy? Is the Great Commission, is our participation in that, is he worthy of that? Is he worthy of everything that we can possibly give to him? You know, we always get this vision of Revelation 5:9 or 7:9, and the nations gathered before God. And you know what? That is going to exceed the Olympics opening ceremonies by 1,000,000,000-fold in its wonder and its awesomeness and its greatness. Not because of there being more people, but because of the object of worship. Because the centerpiece of that picture is going to be the Lamb who is worthy. He is worthy of every step of faith that we can take. He's worthy of every meager gift that we can muster. He's worthy of every promise that we could ever make or keep. He's worthy of every sacrifice that we could possibly give. And so, in conclusion, I would say any one of those 8 reasons is enough, I think, to convince us that the Great Commission is great. But when you take them together cumulatively, I think it's compelling. The Great Commission is great because God is great, because this is the purpose of the universe, because it's why we as individuals exist, because the lost have no hope outside of him, because of the consequences of our disobedience, because of the scale of what is being asked of us, because of the unparalleled power of the gospel to transform all things, and because of the inestimable, unparalleled worthiness of Jesus. And so, in response to that, I'd just like us to consider, and the band's going to come up, get some music, not to emotionally play upon things, but in order to help us to consider, is the Great Commission really great? Is it great enough for us to participate in and to offer our lives toward? And is Christ really worthy? Is this song that they sing before the throne really the song that we can sing with our lives in the here and now? Is Jesus worthy to receive power and wealth and wisdom and might and honor and glory and blessing? So maybe God is speaking to some of you. And all I want to do is just to challenge each one of us right now. I'm not going to ask for an altar call or anything, but I think that in light of the worthiness of Christ and the greatness of this Great Commission, that the least we can offer is that if we really think this is true, and if we really want to be a part of this story, in whatever way God is prompting and leading us, that we could rise. Maybe that means God is calling you to pray or give or go or send. Maybe God, you don't even know in which way God is calling you. But in order to acknowledge what Jesus has done, in order to acknowledge the greatness of what we have been entitled with, I would ask that if you feel God speaking to you, if you want to be a part of this, whether you're already committed or not, let's just stand in the presence of God and acknowledge the worthiness of Christ in all things, and particularly in the Great Commission. I'm already standing. Others are already standing. These guys are already standing. Let's stand in the presence of the Lamb who is worthy. Let's worship him with our words and with our hearts. holy.